Glad you could be with us. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors for today. Burton Trent Public Affairs, Curaleaf, Dutchie, Financial Resources Federal Credit Union, Garden State Green, PROTEUS, Puffin Entrepreneurs and Investors, Saks LLP, the Sheet Metal Workers Local 19, and Sprague Energy, our energy partners. I also want to highlight some of our upcoming events. But more importantly, if you're not at the league and you are a member or want to be member of the New Jersey CannaBusiness Association, come join us on Tuesday, December 6th in New Brunswick at Old Man Rafferty's. We will be at Old Man Rafferty's having our holiday business networking event. As you know, we just don't network for the sake of networking. We network so that you can expand your cannabis business and knowledge. So with that, let's expand our cannabis business and knowledge this afternoon with three terrific guests. And we are so pleased that, look, we can talk about higher institutions all day long. A couple of them really stand out with respect to what's happening. Without any further ado, I want to welcome our speakers for today. Vanessa Williams, the Assistant Dean of New Programs at Rutgers Law School. And I want to welcome Mr. Brendon Robinson of Minority Cannabis Academy. So with that, Vanessa, welcome, and please share what's happening.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks so much for having me and Brendon here today, and for all the support that your organization has given to me and my colleagues as we've been working on developing our new programs. So we're here today to kind of chat a little bit about the education opportunities that both Rutgers Law and MCA have been working on and what we're doing in this space. I can do that in a moment, but Brendon, do you want to say hi and introduce yourself first as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, thank you, Ed. Happy Veterans Day to you and all the other veterans out there. We appreciate you all so much. Brendon Robinson, co-founder, Minority Cannabis Academy, alongside my brother, Stanley Okoro. As Vanessa alluded to, just here to talk about education, kind of how we're building out our partnership and obviously how we got to this point. Just super excited. So let's have some fun, guys.
So I can, I guess, jump in and say a little bit about what Rutgers Law has been getting involved in. I've been at a few events over the last couple of months, and without fail, anyone that has walked past my table has been like, Rutgers Law, what are you doing here? So I joined Rutgers Law at the end of January this year, and my job is to create new programs for the law school. And because I'm looking at developing programs that are really aligned with the needs of New Jersey and thinking about ways we can support what's going on in the state, what's going on in business and with, economic opportunities. The topic of cannabis came swiftly to the top of the pile, right? We have such great expertise across Rutgers, not just in the law school, but across various departments, which I'll speak about in a moment. I was able to chat to a lot of folks here, and also I've spent months talking to folks across the industry. It's been amazing. I see some names on the attendee list who I've met and enjoyed chatting with. And so we've developed a certificate in cannabis law and business, right? We were like, what can we do as the law school with the resources of the other schools at Rutgers? We were like, well, we know a bit about the law, and folks entering this space need to know a bit about the law. But we know that entrepreneurs, current licensees, future licensees don't want to take 3 years and massive student loans to train to be lawyers on the side. So we were like, what can we do to get folks the information they need about the legal aspects of running a legally compliant business in New Jersey? So we developed this 6-month program. It's a non-credit program. It's not for college credit, which means that we can keep it at a more affordable price point. And this program is going to bring together all of the kind of state-specific laws for New Jersey. So that is one thing that makes it unique. It's tailored specifically to New Jersey state laws, but bring those together with the kind of relevant federal laws that folks need to be aware of into a program that says, all right, as a business owner, what are the things you need to know about? And more importantly, what do you need to do as a result of knowing about them, right? So whether that is navigating the initial kind of license class processes, whether it is thinking about how you protect your intellectual property and apply for a trademark, whether it is about thinking about, I'm a retailer with a storefront. What are the federal laws related to the ADA Act about accessibility? I'm a cultivator. What in New Jersey is specific kind of pesticide or testing requirements that I need to be aware of? So we've developed this program. We've got a ton of guest speakers as well who are working in the industry, so that we're bringing together our faculty expertise with people who are doing this, living this. We have faculty from the law school, the Camden Business School, the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, the School of Communications and Information, as well as a really great panel of guest speakers. So that is just the kind of broad sketch overview of what we are doing and how we're engaging in this space. And the last piece I'll mention is that from the very start of this proposals, the kind of social equity was, you know, as it's built into New Jersey's licensing structure, we were like, we need to be thinking about this, right? So we're offering scholarships for folks who are classed as social equity or diversity owned business licensees under the CRC's guidelines. Whether you have your conditional license or whether you don't have it yet, maybe you've not applied yet, or you're waiting, you know, you're in that whatever in between stage, but you would qualify under those conditions, we're offering scholarships there. So we've already had a ton of interest, and I can talk more about all of that later on as well. I'll pause for breath. Hand it over to Brendon to say what cool stuff they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so again, we're obviously huge fans, huge proponents of what Rutgers is building out. It's kind of why we even got into these conversations with them. When we were doing our program, which I'll talk about in a second, we realized that 8 weeks just wasn't long enough for a efficient, effective law program. And we're banging our heads trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to provide a solution to this? And here comes Vanessa and the Rutgers team with this awesome program that just makes so much sense. As she talked about, IP, trademarks, ADA, all these things that an entrepreneur are going to have to deal with on a daily basis. And really ensuring our folks have the education for it is key. So let me just rewind for a second and kind of explain who we are and kind of what we're doing. So Stan and I started Minority Cannabis Academy back in March of 2021. We launched our first cohort this past summer, which is sponsored by Harmony and Dutchie. It was an 8-week program, hands-on learning. The students met twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. It was just awesome, right? We brought in these folks from impact zones, disenfranchised areas, veterans, cannabis offenses in their background, just targeting the people who are most disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. And bringing them into this program, 8 weeks, instructor-led. We had a Bud Tending 101 course, which was taught by Dr. Alan Ayo, licensed pharmacist here in New Jersey. And then our horticulture course was taught by Anson McManus and Patrick Kane, two gentlemen who are working in cultivation facilities here in the state. So seeing our students learn from these individuals who were doing the work was just so impactful. They took pre-tests and post-tests. They had case studies and homework. It was a very difficult course. And then we partnered with Easy Hire Cannabis to put these folks in a position to have job placement thereafter. So same thing goes for our law program. We're sitting here thinking, okay, how are we going to build this out? We can't make it work in 8 weeks. We want to make it comprehensive. We want to make it something that these folks can go through and then have a chance at going and running a sustainable business. And again, the Rutgers discussions picked up. So it's just awesome. So just really happy to be here, guys. Really happy to talk about the program more. I don't want to go too deep and take Ed's thunder, but I want to just kind of lay that out there for you.
Thank you both so much. Let's jump into some of the more serious aspects of what we're experiencing. How do we differentiate the real consultants, the real people that want to help versus people that kind of swoop in and let's be honest, they do prey on minority candidates, social equity candidates. How do we differentiate between those of you that are doing the real work, doing real jobs, really helping people, joining the CannaBusiness Association, versus others that could be more predatory? How do we make the difference?
I mean, that's a great question, Ed, but I'll start. It's just data and accountability, right? When we got in this space and we wanted to make a difference, we had a pool of individuals who came to our expungement clinics with 420 NJ events. who came to our career workshops. We met these investors. We met the folks who were out here trying to do predatory deals. We could guide folks through that. We made the partnerships with Dutchie, with CannAspire, so on and so forth, to give folks these resources. And Ed, to your point, we can show anyone we're talking to, we had this many folks come through, here's their backgrounds, here's how it turned out, here's where they're at now, here's how they're progressing through this program. Because when you think about cannabis, we talk about this all the time. There's no blueprint, right? There is nothing to go look at it and check the box. I know the CRC is talking about coming out with report cards and things of that nature. Please hurry, right? Because we have to make sure that as we're pushing social equity and we're promoting these different products and services, we're doing it with the individuals who are really making an impact for these people who have been stricken by this plant that so many folks are making so much money off of now. So I think that's a great question, Ed.
Yeah, I think I would just echo what Brendon said. You know, if the data-driven decision-making, right, is what every element of running a business comes down to. So folks to be looking at what are the, you know, what outcomes can this person demonstrate to me? What's their background? Where have they got their knowledge from? I think the other piece is, you know, lots of folks who have a lot of knowledge about this industry, you know, people have been in it for years and have a breadth of knowledge that we, you know, still really want to respect, right? You don't have to be a Rutgers law professor to know the ins and outs of how to work in this industry. In fact, you're probably better off if you're not a Rutgers law professor, right? So it's balancing that. It's balancing the, like, folks have expertise, but with the, all right, what are the outcomes? What are they doing with that expertise? How are they using it? How are they talking to you about it? What's the mission behind that expertise, I guess?
So that, with all that being said, so what's the recourse, if any, if somebody happens to make the mistake of going with the person that does not have their best interests at heart? Is there any recourse?
Oh, absolutely. It's catastrophic. You know, we have to recognize and understand that cannabis is only going to get legalized here in New Jersey this one time. Okay, and the opportunity is so vast for everyone involved, right? Especially these social equity folks who are going through this process. You know, I think the CRC got us started, you know, prioritizing applications and things of that nature, but it's just not enough. You know, obviously we're education guys, right? But just education across the board, whether you want to learn the plant to consume it, whether you want to learn the plant to run a business, whether you want to learn the plant to get a job. I mean, we could create generational wealth. And if people are getting misinformation, if people are getting overcharged for services, if people are, you know, going into their life savings and not being properly advised right now, it's catastrophic. And we'll never get a second chance. That's why, you know, the folks that are out here doing this are banging on the desk and pushing the envelope forward, because we know how important, how crucial the timing is around these matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think having these kind of open conversations as well. So I was speaking yesterday at an event, and I mentioned one thing that really struck me over the last few months as I've been getting to know folks in this industry and learning more about it is the sort of the very real sense of a community that I have got, right? Every single person who I have spoken to has said, happy to chat with you, and you should talk to this person and that person, and you should talk to this person, and let me connect you with that person, right? So I think we have that going for us, right? We're all kind of united behind the same mission of making this a successful moment for New Jersey and for our entrepreneurs. So I think keeping those lines of conversation open and being like, hey, this is my experience, this is how this went for me. And I'm also thinking about a conversation I had earlier this morning with someone who was interested in the program, was like, here's my situation, here's what I need. And I was like, you know what? My program actually sounds like it might not be right for you, but go take a look at what Rowan's doing. Go take a look at what Hudson County Community College is doing. Go take a look at what Stockton's doing, right? I'm not going to be like, yes, you should come to my program no matter what, because I want your enrollment money. It's all about, we're a network and a community. And so let's, you know, step up and make that mean something.
For sure.
Great. Thank you both so much. You know, I always want to make sure, and I know I've asked other guests this question, especially those that are in the helping field. So when somebody comes to you, what should they do to prepare to come and see you? How can you best help someone? What do they need to walk in the door with so that when they walk out, they've got the best thing going?
You know, luckily for us, we're living in the age of the World Wide Web, right? And a lot of this information you can find online with a little elbow grease. You have the CRC's website to get your facts in order there. There's tons of information. There's tons of platforms out there. Shameless plug, the 420 NJ events that are giving out this information and trying to provide folks with the proper resources to get them at least started, right? But what I would urge individuals is just to understand that cannabis is a very hard industry, a very hard industry. People come into it with misconceptions around just what it takes, whether you want to be a trimmer, whether you want to work in a cultivation facility, whether you want to do cannabis law, ancillary business, it doesn't matter. It's very hard work. It's highly compliant. It's highly regulated. And again, we're learning without a blueprint. So just be ready to pull your sleeves up, deal with some heartbreak, okay? And really just come in with the right mindset of this is going to be an uphill, tall task, but it's so worth it if you can get through it.
Yeah, I think the mindset piece is really important, Brendon. For the Rutgers Law Program, for example, we're not expecting folks to come in knowing this already, right? If you know this already, why are you paying for our program? You know it all. We expect you to come with like a ton of questions and to not be like, oh, I'm not going to ask this question because like there's a law professor or a environmental science professor on the call, I'm just going to sit here. No, come and ask your questions and get the most you can out of the expertise that's on offer. But the one thing you are going to have to do is, show up once a week for 6 months and, dig into the capstone and dig into whatever, kind of discussions are happening or research homework assignments are happening. So yeah, I think mindset and commitment are huge.
For sure.
So with that, let's talk about managing expectations. How do you help people manage expectations? Again, as I've said publicly, this is a private sector venture, right? When we get into this, it's regulated, but it's not socialized. You're not guaranteed survival, although here we are. We try and give people the best ammunition to make the best run to survive. But how do you manage expectations? And what advice do you give someone so that they don't drain their 401k, that they don't sell their house to get into this? How do you manage expectations?
It's interesting. And I feel like we start our orientation off like this at MCA, right? Where we're just telling folks to just educate yourself around what you want to do in this space before you go spend your money. I'll tell a quick story. We were going through our vetting process where we interviewed the MCA students. And we had one gentleman, I obviously won't say his name, but he was arguing with Stanley and I mean, arguing with us, saying that 50 grand could start a cannabis business. He's telling us 50 grand could start a cannabis business. And I'm thinking, guys, and I even got a little emotional about it because it's like, this gentleman saved his $50,000. He worked hard to save that $50,000. And we know that might get him an application in this industry. That might get him one loop of the 100 loop process, right? It's that kind of miseducation, to Ed's point, going to have folks clearing out their 401ks, going to have folks coming through their children's savings plans and things of that nature to try to get in this business. And I can respect the hustle, but I don't want them to waste their money, right? So depending on what you want to do, because there's different layers based on what you want to do. You want to go start a cultivation site? That's one thing. You want to be on a delivery service? That's another thing. But either way, you're going to deal with certain roadblocks. You're going to deal with certain impediments. You got to be ready for it. And I feel as though the better we can prepare folks for what to expect once the game really starts, the better off they are making a wise decision for them and their families.
And I think as well, not having one fixed idea of what your business is going to look like or be like, not having that one fixed idea of like, I must open a retail side or I will be growing. Like, there are so many pieces to this industry. There are so many support systems that are needed. There are so many ancillary businesses that you might have skills in that you can say, all right, I have a background in marketing and graphic design. Let me take the first steps into the industry by taking those skills and thinking about how I can use those. It doesn't have to be like all or nothing. And I think having the big picture in mind of how this industry is going to develop and how this industry is going to look, and also knowing that you can't be an expert in everything. I mean, you can, but it's really hard, right? So listen to people like Brendon and Stanley, who are like, hey, maybe you want to like temper those expectations a little bit, like be open to taking expertise from where it comes, because you're going to have a ton of expertise in maybe a field that other people don't have. So yeah.
Sure. Hey, can I just piggyback real quick on something that Vanessa said? I think it's really crucial. She mentioned, guys, building a team. Cannabis is so vast. The layers to it are so unique. You really got to figure out who your team's going to be and really build a structure around that. I think it's really crucial. And then she also mentioned taking your existing skills and bringing them to cannabis. Don't recreate yourself. If you've never grown cannabis, don't think you have to come in here and be a cultivator. If you've done marketing, you've done advertising, you've been an accountant, come in here and do that. It's a space for you. So I just wanted to make sure I said that. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. Again, as we have, advocacy never goes away, right? We remain advocates. We remain open to, of course, pressing for social equity, social justice. But at the same time, we also have to push for reality, and we have to make reality work for everyone as well, which is why we always do talk about the ancillary businesses and the ancillary business space. Do you do coaching in that area as well for the ancillary businesses?
Absolutely. I mean, like, that's what we built our entire platform on, right? We don't sell cannabis. We don't grow cannabis, right? And, we run several different companies that are all ancillary sources to the community, right? I think about, Nichelle Santos and Jeff Booker, what they're doing with Canna Coverage and companies like that. So like there's tons of examples out here of folks doing the ancillary businesses. And I think, Ed, as we go forward, we're going to see more and more of those, because again, we're creating an industry, guys. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, cannabis will be normalized, right? Where you're going out and about and you're seeing it all over the place. You're going to need services, hospitality services, environmental services, governmental services, all types of different things are going to start playing a part in the way this ecosystem works and operates. And I'm excited for that. So I definitely think the ancillary piece is something we're going to continue to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. While our initial certificate program is, we're talking about it in terms of giving business owners the support they need, and we've got electives specifics for retailers and cultivators, I think there's still a wealth of opportunities for folks who aren't pursuing either of those paths to still take our program and get a lot out of it. Because do you want a compliance manager for your business who doesn't know anything about the specifics of this industry, or do you want someone who knows how to be compliant within this industry? Do you want a marketing person who doesn't know about the specific marketing rules and restrictions for us, or not? So I think, the whole point of the education programs that both MCA and Rutgers are doing is to provide that sort of joining of the dots, if you will, that sort of links it all together.
Absolutely.
Terrific points. Very good points. Thank you so much. So as we're nearing the end of this segment of Lunch and Learn, and I do want to get to some Colombian food. I am at Sabor y Arte in Elizabeth. I've got some skirt steak with shrimp. I've got some chicken and rice here. Yeah.
Why are you talking to
us? So we're going back to traditional lunch and learn mode. But please do share some closing thoughts about how to move forward, how we all work together for the betterment, and then I'll close out with some other thoughts.
Absolutely. So I'll kick it off, guys. First things first, I would urge you all to go follow us on Instagram at Minority Cannabis Academy. We're actually kicking off our registration on 11/25 for our next cohort. So super excited to get our next group of students. We're going to have our budgeting and horticulture course. We're also introducing our entrepreneur course as well. So please do that. And I would just tell you guys, from this conversation, get out there and get after it. Figure out what your passion is. Figure out what you want to do in this industry. It's wide open. I know that it's tough. I know that there's roadblocks and things like that in place. It doesn't matter. We're only going to get this one time. You have resources. Check the data. Check the accountability. Make sure the person talking to you is the person that should be talking to you. And let's have some fun again. All right. Thanks so much.
I don't have the law school social media is more boring. I don't know that I want to point you towards the law school social media. If my communications person is on here, she's gonna really have a problem with me saying that. You know, I put our webpage in the chat. My email address is all over to that. If you have any questions about our program, what we're doing, any thoughts, if you're a business that wants to sponsor scholarships, either for us or MCA or for our future collaborations, you know, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have questions about what our program's going to cover, drop me a line. I think that's the most important thing. We can't make these programs, I can't make this program meaningful and addressing the needs of the folks who are going to take it without hearing from everyone. And the program will keep evolving and keep evolving as the industry keeps evolving. So we're really looking forward to seeing how it pans out.
Excellent. I want to thank Vanessa Williams, Assistant Dean of New Programs at Rutgers Law School. I want to thank Brendon Robinson and Stanley Okoro of the Minority Cannabis Academy. I want to thank Jenna Ray Russo, the new Deputy Executive Director at NJCBA. Thank you, Jenna, for helping run this program. I want to thank you all for joining us. Please remember our sponsors: Burton Trent Public Affairs, Curaleaf, Dutchie, Financial Resources Federal Credit Union, Garden State Green, PROTEUS 420, Puffin Entrepreneurs and Investors, Saks LLP, Sheet Metal Workers Local 19, and Sprague Energy, our energy partners, and our holiday event. Our holiday event is actually going to be in New Brunswick, Tuesday, December 6th. We are networking, but networking for business. So please join us at Old Man Rafferty's. We had a great time there last year. Again, I'm Ed DeVoe, President of the New Jersey CannaBusiness Association. We look forward to your support, your membership. Thank you once again, Minority Cannabis Academy and Rutgers Law School.